Everyone likes to get things their own way. Getting professional advice is no different. Think how nice it would be to get a report from a doctor, lawyer, or accountant and easily learn the answer to, what would happen if? Or, how much flexibility do I have to work with here? When we finish a reserve study, it contains our recommendation on how to go from your current physical and financial circumstances successfully into the future. And we know when you get our reserve study, you're wondering, what happens if we don't exactly make the recommended reserve contributions? Or, I wonder how much things would change if we do some minor maintenance work and are able to push that big project out a year or two. Our goal at Association Reserves is to make the present less stressful and the future more secure. One way we do that is by making your reserve study come alive, by making that report you used to receive and study become interactive. Now with uPlanIt, our online reserve calculator, you can change some of the numbers, seeing how sensitive it is to those adjustments, and find out what actually happens when you take control of your reserve plan. No more wondering. And perhaps more importantly, no more making big mistakes based on well-intended but incorrect assumptions about how taking that course of action will turn out. With uPlanIt, your present is less stressful because after you've tinkered around with it and convinced yourself you have a good plan, your future is more secure. Follow along as we give you an overview of uPlanIt, a tool that you'll find in our Client Center. Well, thank you, Paige, and hello, everyone. I'm here today with one of our star project managers, Jackie McGary.
Hi, everybody. Glad to be here with you.
Jackie comes from a community manager background, and I thought she'd be helpful in our discussion today of uPlanIt. We want you to have success at your association, budgeting to offset the ongoing deterioration of your common areas, and we feel our clients would be more likely to embrace their reserve funding plan if they could really get behind the wheel and actually see what kind of future comes from their reserve funding plan. Well, this is the agenda we'll be using for today's program. I'll start out with a brief overview, and then we'll soon get right to uPlanIt and put it through its paces. We call uPlanIt an online reserve calculator because in our minds, that's exactly what it is. uPlanIt allows you to actually work with your reserve study data, calculate things in real time, exploring what happens if you tweak some of your numbers. But it's more than just a calculator. It's built to National Reserve Study standards. So all calculation tables and results are consistent with those National Reserve Study standards. So you don't have to wonder if the interest rate is calculating correctly or percent funded is being calculated or reported correctly. It's all built into the model. What uPlanIt does is add to your completed reserve study, making it come to life. Rather than just being information on a page, it is real-time data that you can manipulate. This means you can take ownership of your reserve plan, seeing how it fits and possibly adjusting it as you see fit. Well, when we had a new driver in our home, we stressed that the concept that there is no whoops in driving. Driving is serious business and you need to be paying attention and be prepared. And the same is true for budgeting at an association. uPlanIt is where you can test out alternatives to what's recommended in the reserve study, so you don't have to be wondering anymore. You can see for yourself what happens when you make a change. And that prevents being a few years down the road and saying, whoops, we shouldn't have done that. Well, it all starts here at www.reservestudy.com. And if you're familiar with our website, at top right is our Client Center, where our clients log in to access their completed reserve study. So without further delay, let's log in. It looks just like this, and you'll enter your email address. You can all see how fast of a typer I am and how many typos I make. Is what we get for the live demo, right, Jackie?
Absolutely. That's what happens.
Okay. Well, what we want to do in this first part is show how to log in and just kind of kick the tires a little bit and show what actually goes on. So let's pick this one property here. We'll call it Lincoln Fountain Villas. This is the view that a client gets if they're a portfolio manager. If you're a board member, you'll only see your property, but a portfolio manager will see all the properties in their portfolio. So let's log in and click on Lincoln Fountain Villas here. Our clients are pretty familiar that they'll log in, see their completed reserve study, and let's do just that. Let's look at their executive summary. And we will see that in their reserve study, and if you're following along, their starting reserve balance is $210,000. They are 43.4% funded, and we're recommending $4,000 a month contributions for next year. Okay, so let's go back and let's now open up uPlanIt. And here it is. Here's their list of components.
So, Robert,
yeah.
the component list is going to look exactly the same as it is on the reserve study. So we want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Absolutely. The completed reserve study is ported directly into uPlanIt. So these are the components from your completed reserve study. Well, let's take a look at it. We had it here. The first one is 9 and 0 and 9,600, 25, 10 and 60,000. These two are unfunded, so 9, 0 and 9,600, 25, 10, 60,000. Like you said, it's literally their information. The grade ones are unfunded. All the white ones are funded components, but here's your component list. This property has building exteriors, a chapter of building interiors, parking garages, mechanical and electrical. And then, a couple things to show. We have a few helps. There's this overview video of what uPlanIt does, and then every page has its own video tutorial. You can go to the control panel where you can see their $210,000, 1% interest, 3% inflation. Jackie, let's change the starting balance. What's a good number?
Let's go down to 180,000.
Okay, 180,000. Let's save that. And since I've worked with this property before, I know that now with a little less starting cash, they fall short of being 100% funded.
And they fall pretty low there in those couple of years,
yeah.
Underneath 20%. So that's concerning.
Yeah. So this is an association that probably doesn't want to get too aggressive with their funding plan at first because they are, as you suggest, kind of low to start with. But this is a recommendations page where you can change things. I can click the full solver and see what it takes to get back to 100% funded, and it's 4140. So these are the kind of things you can do. You can also check and see what it's like to be baseline funded, where they are just barely above zero. And boy, they don't really save any, 3830. So we have an ability to do a custom override here and then see all the tables and charts. You can see what your components are.
I think that 30-year summary is the best one to show.
Yeah, let me do that. There we go.
Over time. So it gives you the whole picture.
Right. All of your numbers all on one page. And on every page, you have the ability, again, there's tutorials on every page and an ability to print. Now, one thing I want to point out is we've made a couple of changes here. We went baseline funding and we have a new starting balance. And I just want to point out that the reserve study did not change. Reserve study is what it is, $4,000, $210,000. So uPlanIt is fundamentally your area to work with the numbers yourself and try and test things. Is that fair?
That's perfect.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next item.
Reset?
Yeah. Oh, good point. That's good point. Every page has a reset button. And watch here, we change the starting balance to 180,000. Reset, and there goes back to 210,000. And the same here on the recommendations page. If you want to go back, otherwise you can press save, and it'll save this case. But remember, all the board members have access. Well, it's up to you how many board members you have provide access to this. But anytime you find something that you really like, you may want to print it and save it, because someone else may click reset and restore it to its original. And this allows you to try a bunch of minor variations from the original reserve study. So you can always kind of go back to home base. And so that's how all these different pages work together. Again, tutorials on every page, and print, reset, save, kind of standard-ish kind of stuff. At Association Reserves, we make the present less stressful and the future more secure. If you want to join us in this mission, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see us address in a future video. Let's plan for your best future.